Hey guys, Ryan here. First things first, you don't actually suck at Warzone. The title is just meant to imply that I'm going to talk about 3 things that are going to help you become a better player at Warzone. You guys don't have to you don't have to subscribe. I just want to say thank you for watching this video and let's get into it. So the number one thing people need to improve on is they're too slow. What I mean by this is Warzone is a game of milliseconds. Everything you do needs to be quick. You need to loot quick. You need to be able to land quick. You need to be able to rotate quick. You have to be able to play quick. You have to be able to identify things insanely quick. As I said before, Warzone is a game of milliseconds. The margin of error between dying and being sent to the gulag or having your game ended and going on to win the game is literally sometimes a quarter of a second. And it is that quarter of a second that you need to work on cutting down and trimming. Everything matters in this game. Every time you get shot, every time you're in a gunfight, every little missed shot, every little millisecond will add up. However, I will say this. This is one of the tougher things to actually implement into your game, and that's why I think a lot of people struggle with it. It starts in every aspect. I really mean it. You want to rotate earlier. You want to get loot earlier. You want to kill people earlier. You want to play earlier. You want to revive earlier. Everything, almost every single aspect of Warzone, you just want to do a little bit faster than what you're doing. Even me, even the top players, if you just watch them, if you just watch how close they are to dying all the time, if you just look at their margins of error, then you'll see exactly why this is so important to focus on. This is one of the most underrated aspects of being a good player. If you were to compare yourself to any top player and you were to just break the game down into rotations, looting, plating, whatever, you would be able to just instantly see how much faster they do all of those things than you probably do. And one of the biggest ways and easiest ways you can start working on this is just mentally thinking about the game faster. Just start going from one thing to the next. In the early game, you want to land, you want to get money, you want to get guns, you want to find people, get the kills, instantly go to buy. Cut down that downtime. After you get loadout, start searching for more money, do a contract, find people to kill, buy a UAV, push people. Do everything a little quicker. And as you start to do it, you'll start to be able to implement it more and more into your smaller moments. You'll start to implementing it more into your rotations, everything, and you're just going to have a much better time. I'm serious. Once you start practicing it, you're going to have a much better time in Warzone, and I'd really recommend for almost anyone to work on this. So that's going to wrap up part 1, and now we're going to move on to part 2, and this is going to be your positioning is trash. Now, what I have actually found with the whole positioning thing is people are usually good at either their macro positioning or their micro positioning. So what I mean by this is some people are really good at rotating, at finding good spots to win games. They're kind of smart players. And some people are the opposite. They're really, really good in 1v1s. They have great movement. They know how to use cover to win gunfights, but they're not that good on a macro level. They don't know how to rotate. They're not sure of the total game things. They have pretty bad game sense. I am sure a ton of people will identify with that. Some people feel like they are, in general, really smart Battle Royale players. They put themselves in good position, but they aren't quote-unquote cracked. On the flip side, you have some people who absolutely dominate 1v1s. They have really good movement. They're super good in those small moments, but when they think about the bigger picture, they don't really grasp it. They don't rotate well. They often find themselves chasing kills at the cost of position, and that's what ends up getting them killed in the late game. And those are the issues that a lot of people run into. They have really good skills in one or the other. And it's not to say that you need to be some absolute demon who has insane movement, who hits the greatest rotations ever. You don't need to be someone who's Joe Woe mixed with iron. But what I do want to say is, do try and actually find a balance. I find too many people rely on their strengths rather than trying to address their weaknesses, and that's only going to cost you in the long run. One of the key things is to always make sure you are working on your weaknesses. If your weakness is you aren't that good with your movement, if you aren't that good in 1v1 gunfights, then that is something you should definitely work on. If on the flip side you find yourself winning 1v1s all the time, but you keep finding yourself dying to people who are just in way better position than you keep dying to people who are camping in houses and you just can't beat them, then it's probably because you aren't thinking of the game in a good enough macro sense. Some of the biggest tips I can give to people, and this goes back to tip 1, is rotate earlier so you can get in better position earlier, push things fast, do it so you can kill people in good position, learn how to push things smartly, all of that, etc. They all play into each other, but they all require identifying what your weakness is. If you're super good at killing people, then just work on staying alive through macro gameplay. If you're super good at winning the macro game and putting yourself in a great position to win games, then focus on actually winning your gunfights, so when you get into those crucial gunfights that decide your entire game, you find yourself coming out on top more often. So just to wrap that section up, as I said, I often find people are really good at macro positioning or micro positioning, and identifying what your weakness is and how to fix it is the key and one of the best things you can do for yourself as a player. So let's move on to number 3. You blame the wrong things. Please correctly identify what really went wrong. So many people blame lag, they blame the guns they face, they blame cheating, they blame everything else but reality. Sometimes, guys, you just missed your shots. Sometimes you didn't make the right play, you pushed the wrong thing, you forgot to play it up. Accept the fault, accept the blame. However, do keep in mind though, sometimes you really did get screwed over. Sometimes it was lag. Sometimes they really did just have a better gun than you, and there was really no way for you to win that gunfight. But the main thing I want to get across is you have to be able to correctly identify whatever it is that actually went wrong. Too many times I see people just miss shots, miss an obvious opportunity for them to plate up and get more health, and they just don't see these things. They blame everything but the reality that they could have just played it a little better and it would have worked out much, much better for them overall. That is also why I think it's so crucial for people to work on their weaknesses, because I think that too many people, as I said before, they rely on their strengths. Your strengths, they're super important, and some people know what they are really good at. They know that if they camp up in a building with a kilo or their long-range AR, they can get them a couple kills. They can find themselves in a good position to win the game. But the second that some squad of 2+ KD demons comes running up in their building, they just feel helpless. And on the flip side, some people, they are those 2+ KD demons, and they're out there, they're running, they're killing squads, but they just keep dying, and their win percentage and their wins are really low in general because they're just in terrible positions. There's squads that are way worse than them in 1v1 gunfights that are just able to easily kill them because they are just sitting in some building in the circle watching this full squad have to run out in the middle of nowhere, and it's just free kills for them. In Warzone, you die in literally about half a second. That is why it's key that you make people miss shots using movement. That is why it's key you have good movement. That is why it's key you find those pockets to plate. Because if you don't have even one plate, that half a second turns to 300 milliseconds. And that's why all of those little things really matter in Warzone. As I said before, your margin of error is so small in this game. It is so easy to die. It is so easy to make a mistake that's just going to cost your entire game. Because we are playing Battle Royale, even if you're playing Rebirth, even if you're playing Resurgence, one death can really screw up the entire thing. And that is one of the most difficult parts about this, because that means that one mistake can cost you the entire game. Everything can just be messed up in essentially half a second. And because of snipers being able to instantly one-shot you, you can make a mistake that can literally cost you the entire game. And that mistake can be just a 1/10 of a second. Someone's just going to fire a bullet, you are down, game over, that's it, GG's, try again. And that is why I stress moving quicker. That is why I stress identifying what your weakness is. And that's why I also say blame the correct things, because if you are blaming the wrong things, you are never going to fix these mistakes, and you're going to keep running into issues. And these small pockets, these small things that you could be eliminating, that's going to help you become a much better player and help you win more games, you're just going to keep finding yourselves making the same mistakes over and over. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I did make a similar video to this about 6 months ago, but this is kind of a new take on it, and I've just learned so much more since then. Back then, when I made the video, I was at a 3.13 KD, and now I'm at a 3.39, just about to be a 3.4 KD, and I imagine by next year at this time, I hopefully will be around a 3.6, 3.7 KD. So I did feel it was a little appropriate to make a second part to the original video. Anyways, guys, if you enjoy this, you don't have to like, you don't have to subscribe. I just want to say thank you for watching this, and I hope you enjoyed the gameplay, and I hope you enjoyed the video. It's been Ryan. Peace.